We're live. This face is scary as hell, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Sorry, folks.
And as you guys can see, Bricksmith has dyed his hair, his beard white for the stream.
He's had such a shock that all his hair's gone white.
He's like, horror movies, and it instantly got scared. No, Julian is not here this evening. Julian is in Texas or on his way to Texas. I'm not quite sure where he is on the path, or Oklahoma. I know they're going to Oklahoma first, and then they were headed to Texas. I'm not sure of his itinerary, but he will not be joining us this evening. And one thing I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way first, and then we're going to remind everyone again at the end because there'll be more people watching. This is actually the last episode of the BS Hour for a little bit. We are taking a hiatus. My hours and things are changing at work, so I'm going to have to find a new time slot for this show. So we will. I got to give it a couple of weeks to get settled into the new schedule, so we can figure out where we're going to put it. So in the chat already, we've got Lumberjack Josh wants a show. Jesse says, "Is there a delay?" Oh wait, I'm early. And now there's a delay. And we got Seth saying meow. Nerdbrick says, hey. Jesse says, where in the world's Bricksmith, San Diego? Where in the world is Bricksmith, San Diego? So tonight we're going to talk about horror movies, as you can see by Papa Bear's fancy background. There's all kinds of goodies going on there.
Yeah.
Let's see who all we can name, or at least the movies. So I see there's Blade from Puppet Master. Right there to your left as I'm looking, but it's your actual right.
Yeah.
Sam. And there's Hannibal and Freddy's getting ready to claw somebody. And I see the ball from Phantasm. Scream, Ghostface Killer.
Oops, can't quite reach over there, but the Jeepers Creeper guy below the Phantasm ball. So
yep. I was just gonna say that. And we got a werewolf up there. Is that from like American Werewolf in London?
I'm not sure which werewolf that one's supposed to be, but yeah.
Don't turn around. There's bad folks behind you.
Yeah.
Of course, Jaws, Freddy dead in center, Jason dead in center,
Tarman.
And is that Lost Boys right there below the Fly.
Yep.
Poltergeist, of course, the Chainsaw, and there's Samara from The Ring right next to Pinhead.
Yep.
Reanimator, is that the next one right there?
Yep. Herbert West.
Jack Nicholson from The Shining down below there. Poltergeist, Pennywise. What is right below Pinhead's arm? Who's that?
That looks like the man from Poltergeist 2.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course...
and then you've got the killer clown and a gremlin right behind your arm.
Yep.
Zombie from Return of the Living Dead, I think.
Day of the Dead.
The Day of the Dead?
Yeah. What was it Bud or something like that? He was the one that they were trying to teach to like use guns.
And so right next to him, that looks familiar. What is that? That Near Dark? Maybe? I don't know. He's like right below Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, actually, that was the one that I didn't know off the top of my head.
Twilight. Nothing. Yeah. It scares the hell out of me how many people like Twilight. That's the only thing scary about that.
And of course, there's Tarman there. That's right beside the guy that we don't know who he is. But, you know, that's from Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's who I was talking about from Return.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about
the other zombie on the other side. Right?
Yeah, this guy here.
Yeah, that's the Bud. Yeah, I was talking about this one from Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
and then
actually, there's probably a few more. If we,
I've seen whatever that movie is from that guy's from. I've seen it.
Yeah,
I just don't know what it is.
Here's a couple of the other ones that are hiding behind. So
Pennywise, Crypt Keeper, Elvira, Billy the Puppet, Critters, and Chucky.
Yep. And there's more on the image, but it's off to the side there. So
there's a bunch of good people hanging out right there.
Yes.
Who's in the reflection on the chainsaw?
What is that a Deadite?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Covered up by me, so I can't really.
Yeah, so it's probably Evil Ash.
Evil Ash, I bet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What's up, Bainashi? Ghoulies. Yeah, Ghoulies is a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go ahead and let's just start with this. You do a thing every week with some horror movies. Why don't you tell us about that?
Oh yeah. So in my Discord, I hang out with some of my friends, and we always Saturday nights hang out and just like watch a horror movie. Sort of sometimes do like a mystery theater 3000 type thing where we're throwing up memes and joking about it. Other times just watching the movie and being entertained and stuff like it. Sort of watching old classics like last time we watched Christine and stuff like that. So.
I heard that's getting remade, actually.
That's what they were saying too, when we were chatting about it.
From the same guys that remade Pet Sematary, apparently.
Oh, okay. I haven't actually seen the remake of Pet Sematary, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, I enjoyed it, except for like the end kind of doesn't make sense. But then when you see the alternate ending on the DVD or the Blu-ray or whatever, it makes a little more sense.
Oh, okay.
Like the theatrical one, it's kind of like, well, that was a weird ending.
Yeah.
It was odd, but it was a good movie. I liked it.
Huh.
So there's like this conversation can go to so many different places because there's, what is actually considered horror movies to some, So as we talked about beforehand, Godzilla would, I don't necessarily consider those horror movies. Some people might though. It would definitely be terrifying if you're in there, right? A monster tearing down the city. It's, Cloverfield, falls in the same way. Hey, Ninja Master Nick, what's up?
Yeah, I'd say like if you look at like the original Godzilla was about like the horrors of atomic war, right, kind of thing. So you have a little bit of that, and then if you look at like Shin Godzilla, it's it's a much more horror style look to the monster and stuff like that. So as it goes through the changes and stuff, but yeah, you could say it's horror, lightly.
Yeah,
but,
and that's what I was getting ready to say. Josh came to the point. He considers them sci-fi. And in most places, sci-fi and horror are put together in the same category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the web camera in my shower, that's definitely a horror movie. You won't see anything scarier than that. Not at all. And so some other, I forget what I don't know, somebody said something like they saw, I don't even remember the movie now, but it was a movie they saw. They're like, it was definitely a scary movie. And like, it's just a straight up, okay, Gremlins, obviously. You got the gremlin on the picture behind you.
Yeah.
Like, even as a kid when I was young, I didn't necessarily think Gremlins was a horror movie.
Yeah. Or, well, Elvira on there, like if you watch, like she's famous for like watching horror movies and talking about them and stuff in between the segments there, but like the actual movie of hers, it's like it's not really a horror movie. It's just kind of a comedy with a little bit of tiny hints of horror elements in it at times too, right? So there's some things that are questionable what is or it depends on the person, I guess, right?
Yeah, I would say it depends on like what scares you, and at the same time, again, I'm not going to get scared. I don't get scared by watching the movies, even if they're filled with jump scares and things like that. I will pretty much watch, like, if any horror movies come to theaters, I'm going to go see it. like right now, I need to go see the Forever Purge, and A Quiet Place 2. I still need to see. Elvira is popular for her boobs, not horror.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Somewhere, and I didn't have time to prep it. I actually have a picture of me and my buddy with her. She was at Comic-Con, and he paid for the VIP package, so he got pictures and stuff with it, and he was allowed to have somebody else with him. So he's like, "Come on!" So I was like, "All right." So I got the picture there.
Nice.
So like when I sit down to watch, well, first of all, I need to get this out of the way because this is a me thing. So some people, like, there's movies and there's films, and I'm not a fan of film because chances are that's going to be some foreign movie with subtitles that I'm not going to understand, and it might even be in black and white. And I'm like, I want to see a movie. I'm just a simple dude. So I watch my horror movies. I want to see lots of people get killed in spectacular fashion with lots of blood and gore.
Now, does that mean that you won't watch any horror movie that's subtitled then, or is it?
I prefer to have a horrible dub job.
Yeah. Okay.
I grew up in the age of bad Bruce Lee kung fu dub jobs, and I'm okay with that still to this day.
Because there's one movie I always recommend to people if they're okay with watching, a subtitled movie because it's only available subtitled kind of thing. But
Is that Battle Royal?
no, actually, but funny enough, I got introduced to that movie at the same time. The person who lent me their DVD Battle Royale lent me this movie as well. It's called Audition. It's also Japanese.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it.
It's by Takashi Miike. He's famous for like Ichi the Killer. He did an episode of Masters of Horror that never aired originally because he pushed too many limits and stuff like that. He's known as he's described often as the person who breaks the contract between director and audience, where it's like, we go into this movie, we know that we're going to be put in a horror movie or whatever kind of thing. We're expecting, certain levels, but he's like, nah, yeah, I'm just going to do what I want.
Yeah, I don't want to turn on the subtitles. Subtitles annoy me.
See, in our house, where because especially with kids sleeping at night and stuff like that, and both my wife and I sometimes not hearing things well, with like closed captions on everything. So
yeah, and so Inashi brings up a point. Aliens, is that a horror movie? I think the first one is probably considered a horror movie.
Oh yeah, the first one easily. Yeah.
After that, it's a straight up action movie.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's a series where it's like a different genre in those two movies, and they both really well done movies for what they are. Like it's Aliens is like one of the best action movies in the 80s there kind of thing, and like the Alien,
even to this day it's still
and Alien kind of like redefined horror in sci-fi and stuff like that. So
yeah, of that series, Aliens is my favorite out of all.
I mean, you usually get the disc and you can pick, any of them, right? So this is one of the ones
I have. It's over on the shelf, but we have like the quadrology.
Yeah, that's what this one is, the Blu-ray quadrology. So,
that is really.
Yep. Yeah.
Mine's in a big, thick black box. It's like 2 discs for every movie. The whole.
This is one of those ones that you would get when you look at the checkout aisle of Best Buy. Like it's like one of the it's probably just like they had the discs printed, and they just slapped them all into a
okay. So is it 1 disc per movie in there?
I think so.
So it probably doesn't have all the the version we got cost like $90, and it's like got 3 or 4 versions of each movie, like the director's cut of each one, and all kinds of stuff.
This says 4 disc set includes 2 versions of each film. So
okay, well there you go. At least got that much on there.
Yeah. Yeah, have you ever seen I'm guessing you probably have the deleted scene from Alien where they show like what the alien was doing with the crew and stuff like that?
Yeah. It's been a while since I've watched it, but yeah, we've watched a lot of those stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dollar Tree horror Blu-rays, how about this bad boy right here?
Nice.
Hansel and Gretel Get Baked. Yeah, basically it's they go a bunch of stoners go to what they think is a place where they're going to buy weed, but it's the evil witch who's eating all the stoners essentially. Well, that was a Dollar Tree purchase, and yeah, you can get some other good stuff there too. Yeah, yes, we did. We watched that.
Now, for one big box set I did have though that I pulled off the shelf. That's 8 of the classic horror movies there, Frankenstein and Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, Phantom of the Opera, Creature of the Black Lagoon, and Invisible Man. So
all the classics.
Yeah, it's one of those ones.
And this is going to be sacrilegious to people, but I can't watch them.
No.
They just I can appreciate what they did and what they have brought to us. Yeah. And I have seen a lot of them when I was younger and stuff, but like if I was just down to watch it now, it would have to be Riff Tracks or Mystery Science Theater for me to, because I'm just like I've seen so many better versions of this already. But I mean, again, I know when it was made and what it did for horror in general at the time.
Yeah,
you can appreciate all that. Actually, Frankenstein specifically, there was one that came out in like mid 80s or so. It's called Frankenstein Unbound, and I do have a DVD copy of that one on there. And that one is really cool because it's like a guy from the future travels back in time.
Oh yeah,
the days of Frankenstein.
Yeah,
and it's crazy.
Yeah, I think I've seen that way long ago, but it was like probably back in the '80s. So
Yeah, it came out. I watched it when I was a kid, and then I found a copy on DVD like years later. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get this.
yeah.
I remember this movie. And we also have, of course, Tales from the Crypt.
Nice.
I only have the first season. I need to get all the rest of them.
I was actually
Anachi had them for sale in his store, and I was going to go buy them, and I forgot.
I was actually looking up those and the Tales from the Dark Side sets on Amazon like a couple weeks ago, because I was watching, like, I watch a lot of YouTube horror channels, and they were talking about some of the series, and I'm like, I've seen the Tales from the Dark Side movies, but I haven't really seen much of the series, just a bit randomly here and there. I want to go watch it. And same thing with Tales of the Crypt. I've seen random episodes, but damn it, are they like expensive on the third party market, because they're not available.
That's what sucks. And it sucks about anything. It's just like Lego or video games or Transformers or whatever you're getting. A lot of times, like, you got to get that stuff right away. If you ain't got the money to buy it right away, then you're going to miss out.
Yeah.
Like, I missed getting the Friday the 13th Blu-ray box set when it was released. And it's worth a crap ton of money. They've just re-released one again, or they're getting ready to, one of the two. But it's it's already like, before it even releases, out of my price range. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to just live without having that,
Yeah.
But I did get this one. This is the Puppet Master Blu-ray box set. I love these cheap horror movies, right? So they're not scary in the least bit. They're funny more than anything. But I love them. I love them all. But the one thing that bugs me about this, though, I was thinking for a complete Blu-ray box set, it's going to have all the movies. It does not have Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys in it. Demonic Toys is great. And then the sequel to that was actually Doll Man versus the Demonic Toys.
Which, yes, yeah, I remember watching that.
That one was pretty good. But Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys was terrible. Because it was like, I don't know, it was in production for so long, start and stopped, and then it finally, like, when Full Moon went under for the first time, because I think they went out of business a couple of times, honestly. Sci-Fi Channel ended up finishing the movie and putting it on Sci-Fi, and it was clearly a sci-fi movie. Well, this was not very good, but I still need it to have the complete collection. So I'm gonna have to track down a copy of that on Blu-ray just to make sure I have all of it.
I remember watching at the end of a lot of those Full Moon videos, they would have more advertisements for other videos that were coming or things that they were going to be doing. And I remember seeing a promo. This is back in the 90s for Demonic Toys versus Puppet Master or whatever kind of thing. So they
and it didn't come out till 2005 or 6 or something.
Fell into development hell there.
Yep, and I got a lot of cool. So I got the Evil Dead 2 limited edition 10. Comes with widescreen movie, because this is the time when DVDs are coming out. You get to pick widescreen or full screen.
Oh yeah,
always widescreen. Widescreen shows you more of the movie. It also has the full screen presentation on here, audio commentary, the Gore the Merrier featurette, the trailers, a preview of the Evil Dead Hail to the King video game, some still galleries, talent bios, a poster, 48-page full-color book. And it's limited numbered, 24,627 out of 50,000 made. But the thing that sucked about this is in the 10 where the movie was just in a CD jewel case, not in a normal case. And I didn't care for that so much. I wish it was in an actual case, but what can you do?
One I have to have because one of my favorite Stephen King novels.
Yep. I have that one on Blu-ray. I don't actually have the new version.
Yeah, neither do I.
I need to buy both of them because they're fantastic.
Yeah, and of course, then my favorite horror series of all time.
Yes, that is my favorite as well. I have that Blu-ray box set.
Yeah,
and I also have the DVD box set where all of them together next to each other form a picture of Freddy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, usually around Halloween, I get into a thing where I'm going to watch this entire franchise. So one year I did, all the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and then another one I did all the Friday the 13th films, stuff like that. Just in October, watch through things. So
I picked this one up recently at Walmart for $15.
Nice. Is it 7 films it says on that, or?
Yes. Yeah, it's got all Leprechaun 1 through 4, and then Leprechaun in the Hood, Leprechaun Back to the Hood, and then the reboot Leprechaun Origins.
Is that the one that has Hornswoggle or whatever?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And so this one the only one I had up until this point was Leprechaun in the Hood. And I've never actually even watched Back to the Hood or Origins. So that's why I was like, I'm going to grab that. $15. Yeah, I'll watch it. So I get to watch it. I love those movies. They're stupid. It's Warwick Davis, who was Wicket the Ewok, and Willow. He plays the Leprechaun in most of them.
Yeah, we recently watched Leprechaun 1 there. It was one that we did for the movie night kind of thing. It was great going back and watching that. It's funny, though, how much that movie they advertised. Oh, we had Jennifer Aniston in this movie. It's
like all over the cover. Jennifer Aniston, woo.
Yeah.
Looker the Necrophagus. I have not seen that, never heard of that. But I'll tell you a funny story about Leprechaun 1. I had seen it, numerous times when it came out, and then I went to a party and was just blitzed. I was getting trash. I was hammered. Like I had drinks in each hand. I'm like, and they're like, we're gonna watch Leprechaun. I'm like, hell yeah! So I literally sit down right in front of the TV, and they're like, dude, you're gonna have to back up a little bit because I'm already tipsy. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I scoot back so everybody can watch it. I remember it was on VHS. Okay, I remember he put the tape in. I watched the first 5 minutes, and then the credits are rolling. And I completely blacked out for the entire movie. And I'm sitting there with my drinks, and I'm like, when's the movie going to start? And they're like, it's over. Those are the end of credits. I'm like, I don't recall. And they're like, well, you watched the whole movie. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't remember watching the whole movie.
Yeah.
As a teenager, I worked my way through every major horror series my local video store had. Yep. Yeah, we used to do stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, my parents actually had a thing with because I was, only about 10 at the time. They let our small town video store know that I was allowed to rent any R-rated movies, so I could rent through the horror movies and stuff like that. So.
What was the story you were just telling us a couple weeks ago about the movie you rented?
Oh, are you talking about Toxic Avenger? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, I mean, that's somewhat horror-like, So I guess it fits in with.
That's another thing. Is trauma horror movies? They're again more goofy comedies.
Yeah.
There's
you go the gore. Yeah, gore factor. You could, sometimes it gets hit the horror tag, right? But yeah, so in the 80s, you could rent movies in a lot of different places, including 7-Eleven. Was a place you go and rent movies. So my dad and I were in 7-Eleven, and he said I could rent a movie, and I picked the Toxic Avenger, handed it in the box. He looked at it. It's a cartoon on the front. He thinks it's a cartoon, so he hands it to the clerk. Clerk said him, rents it out. Thinks it's my dad renting it, so he doesn't say anything about being an R-rated movie. I get home. We don't watch it that night. The next morning, I get up probably like 6 or 7 o'clock because I was a little kid and I used to get up really early then. I go downstairs. I watch the entire movie, and for those who are not familiar with Tromaville movies, lots of gore, lots of TNA. Not appropriate for about the 7-year-old I was at the time, kind of thing. But I watched the whole thing through, loved it. A little bit later, my sister comes downstairs. She wants to watch my movie. My dad has also rented a movie for her. I'm like, no, watch your movie. And she did not take that no very well, kind of thing. So she threw a fit. And my mom, wanting things to be peaceful, she's like, let your sister watch the movie. And I'm like, okay. And I ran to my room and I closed and locked the door. But 10 minutes later, I hear bang, 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 bang at the door. My mom's like, open this door kind of thing. I was just like terrified because I knew I was in a whole heap of trouble. Though I think my dad was in more trouble when he got home. She started reading him the riot act, like, you rented him a movie with this, that, and the other in it, kind of thing. He's like, I thought it was a cartoon. It had a cartoon on the front of it.
It's not a cartoon.
Oh. Yeah. There you go. What? Then, of course, that leads me to first horror movie, which I'll ask you on after. So, first horror movie I watched when I was about 5 was this thing. My dad was watching a horror movie, Poltergeist, downstairs in our basement. I was supposed to be in bed asleep. I snuck downstairs, looked around the corner of the wall, and I watched the movie until my mom came home from work because she worked nights at the time, and she caught me. And they realized I wasn't scared of the movie. So later on, when I wanted to watch another horror movie, Ghoulies, they actually did rent it for me because they were like, well, he handled the other one okay, kind of thing. So what about you? What was your sort of first horror movie experience?
To be honest with you, I don't remember.
Oh.
Yes, I have seen 2001 Maniacs. We can talk about that here in a moment. So the first, well, I guess the first horror experience that I do remember very vaguely, but because I don't know, I was maybe 4 at the time. The first Creepshow movie. So I don't know when that was released, but whenever that came out, my parents went to the theaters to see it, and I was with them. And so I remember my mom's like, okay, it's late, just go ahead and go to sleep, and I was like, okay, okay. So I was like trying to sleep, not watch this movie. And then I woke up during like just a couple of scenes. I woke up during like the first scene where the lady's like screaming. Okay, so I thought the dude, like in the first bit, he wants his cake or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like I thought he's screaming like, I want my cane or whatever. And then I was like, he's got his cane, Mom. Why is he screaming about his cane? She's like, no, he wants the cake. And then I kind of fell back asleep after that. And then I woke up again during the one with which I think is Stephen King, which like he's the guy outside and the meteorite crashes.
Yep.
And it ends up turning him into some kind of moss monster or something.
Yeah, like
and I was like freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, what's going? I'm a little kid and watch this movie. I'm like, no, calm down. It's just Cookie Monster. I'm like, no, it's not Cookie Monster. It's Blue.
Yeah, moss grows on everything.
That's about all I remember of that. And I've never. Hey, what's going on, Mando? I've never watched the movie all the way through since then. Like I would have zero problems doing it. But I never have. But I remember flipping through like the graphic novel of it in the bookstore.
Yeah.
And I was oh yeah, I remember this.
Did you ever watch Creepshow 2 then, or?
Yes, Creepshow 2 I have seen numerous times.
Oh, okay.
I love it. Thanks for the ride, lady.
Yep. Or the where they're out on the lake and the oil slick thing that's eating them and stuff.
Everybody. Like that. Yeah, so there is. I just want to put me on the screen. There's on my friend's Facebook's picture of me, him, and Elvira.
Yeah.
Yoink. So right here, Dead Alive and Face of Death series messed me up when I was about 12. Dead Alive is a movie that she will not watch with me. She refuses to watch it. I've seen it numerous times. I think it's great, and it just cracks my shit up immensely that's Peter Jackson.
Yeah, I didn't think I saw that till about 2008 or so. Like it was somewhere in the early,
And doesn't it have a different title in your country?
I don't. I always known it as Dead Alive, but I think it's one of those ones that does.
I think it's called Brain Dead in some areas.
Yeah, something like that. It's there's a lot of movies with alternate titles in various places, but yeah, that one. I found it through the internet, so
I remember watching that. We rented it. I rented it the first time was at my mom's house. We would go to my mom's like once a week, one day a week, and then the rest of the time we spent with my dad. And we go to my mom's house and we got to rent movies. And so I picked that one. I was like, watch this. And she's like, okay. So we're watching it. She made me turn it off about 25 minutes into it or so. She's like, why don't you stop this movie and you can finish it after I go to bed? And I was like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Like, my mom couldn't watch it. And Jessie will not watch it again. She's seen it and she's like, no.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. Like the preacher that knows karate and it's disgusting, but it's funny.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that movie. It's not even so much a gore factor as it is like a gross out factor at times in that movie. So I can see how some people, it's like a nope,
I can see how some people wouldn't like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Jessie's first one was The Changeling in the 80s. George C. Scott was in it. She's terrified of wooden wheelchairs now.
Yeah, I remember renting that one. Yeah,
and I've never actually seen that.
I remember renting it thinking that it changed.
Should replay his next package.
I remember renting The Changeling thinking it was going to be like about a creature that could change forms and stuff like that, like Odo from Deep Space Nine or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then I remember Angelina Jolie was in a movie a few years ago called The Changeling, and I was like, oh, cool, they're remaking The Changeling, but it has nothing to do with the movie at all.
Yeah. Hey, would they do that?
Like it's just got the same title.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other movies. Oh crap! Bad Taste also was a Peter Jackson movie, and so I watched part of that drunk and high. Well, I wasn't high. Everyone else around me was high, and I was, I guess, high off of the secondary smoke, but I was completely drunk. And I vaguely don't even remember bits of it, but that's one that I would like to go back and watch again because I'm sure I'd love it.
I've seen clips of it. I don't think I've watched the whole thing through, though, so, you know.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, but I only remember like the first maybe 15 minutes of it.
Yeah.
But at that same party that we watched that one, this was a different party than the Leprechaun one. This was another party. We sat down, we rented a bunch of movies. That was one of them. We watched that one towards the end, though, so I was like out of it. But one of the other movies that we watched was Doll Man versus Demonic Toys. And I had already seen it prior to that. So I remember we're watching the movie, and I've already seen it, so I know what's going on. And my buddy's like, I don't know what is going on. He's like, who's that guy? Why is it? Why? I was like, I'm trying to explain to him. He's like, all right, pause the movie. Like, when the guys pause the movie, he comes over, he pulls up a stool, sits in front of me. He's like, please explain to me what's going on in this movie. And I explained everything up to the point. He's like, okay, all right, I got it. He got up, pushed the stool away, went back to his chair, sat down, and then he's like, I forgot everything you just said.
Full moon, doing the shared universe before anyone, Marvel.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean,
because technically, that would mean that Doll Man, Demonic Toys, Puppet Masters, and then also like Trancers, didn't they have that?
Yeah, Subterranean, and also, but actually, Universal did it with very briefly in their movies. Like they had Frankenstein meets Wolfman or something like that,
and then Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Well, and then they were going to do it again with the MonsterVerse when The Mummy came out with Tom Cruise, and I saw that movie like on its opening night, and I do not understand why people hated on it. It is far from the worst movie I've ever seen.
I think a lot of people really enjoyed the Brendan Fraser series of Mummy movies, and they were probably expecting a little more of that style, kind of thing. And
which I like those movies as well.
Yeah, and
but again, not horror movies.
Yeah, Tom Cruise for some people is a no, right? Like some people love watching his movies, some people will just not watch it because he's in it, right? Kind of thing. He's polarizing at times, so.
This is also true.
Yeah, I think they also they tried to do almost the DC approach of it too. They tried to step too much into the shared universe right from the get go and not let the movies stand on their own a little bit first, kind of thing.
Yeah, because there was definitely several things, several plot threads put into the movie to,
yeah, and
what's going to happen and the next one's coming and stuff.
They already had a cast photos like, oh, here Johnny Depp's going to be Invisible Man, and this person's going to be this person, and this person's going to be this person. And it's like, well. Why don't you see if the first movie does well first? And because then that wasn't their first kick of the can either. There was a Dracula movie they did before that was supposed to be it, and then there was another movie as well that they did that was supposed to be the start of the shared universe, and that didn't wind up being.
And then what's funny is The Conjuring has now become that.
Yeah,
because they did Legend of Boggy Creek. Oh my God, let's talk about that for a second. Okay, so I've never seen The Legend of Boggy Creek, but I have seen Boggy Creek 2 many a times because it's one of my favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes. Such a good movie when they make fun of it.
I don't even think I've seen it, either of them. Think about it.
I was saying, the Conjuring movie. So I like those movies. And some people don't. I specifically know a person who's just like, I do not like these movies. They're stupid. They've already debunked everything about the Warrens. It's completely fake. I'm like, yeah, I realize that. I get that it's fake, but still, it's an enjoyable movie, for me. And so he just won't even get into it. But then I like that they're branching off, and it's like, well, now we have like 3 Annabelle movies just based on one thing, and then La Llorona, which was apparently another movie entirely, and they kind of put it into the Conjuring universe by throwing a couple scenes into it. And then they're the Nun. They're also doing a movie based on I can't think of what the character was called, but it was in Conjuring 2, I think, where they had they spin the deal, and you can watch the paper guy dance in there or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And they're supposed to do a movie like on that guy.
Yeah, because I've only seen the first Conjuring, and actually only about 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
I've seen at least one of the Annabelle movies. It was on the movie channel here one night, and I was watching it, kind of thing.
So the first one, the one that's just like Annabelle, it's honestly just okay. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah.
But the other ones are much better, like Annabelle Creation and Annabelle Come Home.
This was the one where it started off with like a Charles Manson people or whatever showing up in the person's house and killing them or something like that. So I don't know if that's the first one or if that's Creation.
I think that's Creation.
Okay.
It's again, that thing is that universe is getting all kinds of confusing.
Yeah.
And then you got the Sinister movies and Insidious movies, which are confusing because they have the same actor in them.
Oh.
So Jesse and I were going back and forth over. I was like, we haven't watched Sinister 2. It was on Netflix, and she's like, yes, we have. I was like, no, we haven't. So we finally watched it one night. And I was like, yeah, I do not recognize this movie. She's like, okay, you're right. But it was literally because it was like the same dude. She's like, I thought it was the other movies. Okay. I was like, yeah, that's why. Yeah, it's an East Texas Sasquatch movie. And yes, Troll 2. Troll 2 is it's something. The first Troll I very much enjoy.
Yeah, the first Troll starring Harry Potter and Harry Potter Jr.
Right?
Yeah. But
Sonny Bono.
The second Troll movie I've never seen, but I've seen enough reviews and clips and whatnot to get the gist of it, kind of thing. So
oh yeah, Troll 2 literally has nothing to do with Troll 1.
No, yeah, it's just it's like made in another country and everything too. It's just like
Well, yeah, and I think in other parts of the country it's called Goblins or whatever, but they couldn't call it that in America.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole documentary about it too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like the director straight up thinks that he made a great movie, and he hates that people, especially Americans, like just they love it because it's trash. He's like, you don't get it. He like thinks that we should love it because it's a good movie, but it's really not.
I think is it Troll 4 that is not even like it's not even about trolls. It's about plants, and that's the only connection there. But it was actually called like I think I saw it in an alternate title. Like
I didn't know Troll 3 or 4 existed.
Well, they're not like connected in any which way. They're just movies that they've slapped on there, kind of thing. So.
I don't like Halloween 3. It has nothing to do with Michael Myers. It breaks it. It shouldn't be in the series, I feel. But the same guy I know that doesn't like the Conjuring movies, that's his favorite Halloween. He loves it. He's like, that's the best one. I'm like, no, not really.
Oh, here we go. It's the Crawlers is known as Troll 3. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen that.
So what it used to happen for me was my parents, they owned a motel when I was a teenager. And sometimes, people, the businesses would bring things by, get discounts on the room. Like we were lifting a fishing area. So people bring by salmon, maybe some prawns for, get a discount on the room. This one guy owned a video store, a small video store up island from us. And what he'd do is he'd bring all the horror movie screeners for me there. Because like you owned a video store, you would get sent these copy of screeners that would just have a little scroll at the bottom every so often, not for resale, blah blah blah. And he would give them to my parents to give to me, and so they would give them a discount in this room. And that's how I found a lot of these movies, because these would be ones that some of the video stores wouldn't even bother ordering copies to have in and stuff like that. And the Crawlers, I remember, was one of them. I think it actually is the one, if I remember correctly, has Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in it. As like,
nice.
And he's supposed like playing like he's like a guy from the hood or something like that, and he's all tough and all this kind of stuff. And he just doesn't, when seeing him go from Carlton to that, you couldn't break,
Alfonso Ribeiro.
Yeah, I think that's the one that he's in. He's in one movie like that. So
another series that I really liked. There's several series where like they get so far in and then they like change things up and they think people won't know.
Yeah,
like Ghoulies 1, 2, and 3. Those are great. I like those. Ghoulies 4 is trash. The Ghoulies don't even look. They're nothing. It's like they took, again, another movie and then just put the title of Ghoulies on it. Because it's completely different monsters and they're like good. They're not like evil. And just like, what the fuck is this? That's not what I was supposed to be watching.
Well, you got to wonder if it's like what we were discussing before the show about like where they take a movie that isn't related to the series and they just said, "Oh, it's close enough. Let's slap that in there." You know.
Yeah. That's why I think they just threw another title on there and like that's what it is. Let's see. Howie says he took a girl on first date to My Bloody Valentine.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to assume the original one, not the remake.
No, I was trying to figure out. Years ago, I remember we went out to watch My Bloody Valentine 3D, and I wasn't sure if it was like a remake, a sequel, or anything like that because I didn't know of the series beforehand.
Yeah, so that's a remake of like an 80s movie.
Okay.
So I actually own both of them on Blu-ray because it was like a special deal. Like when the new one came out, they also put the old one out the same day, and then so like. I got like a discount for buying them both. So I did. And I had already seen the remake like in theaters and I liked it. And I watched the original one. And then again, this is going to be blasphemous, but I like to do that sometimes. The remake is better, I feel. Like the remake had the whole twist and everything where, you know, it was the main dude was actually the killer and it was like in his head kind of thing that he didn't know he was doing it. The old one didn't. It was just a straight up, like, just a normal, your average horror movie.
See, that makes me think of another horror movie, though, that got a remake that had a potential twist that didn't wind up being a twist.
Yeah.
That ruined the
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
Yeah, they were going like maybe Freddy was innocent. And you're just like,
Yeah.
And they're like, just kidding, he's not.
Yeah, like if they had actually gone that angle, that might have been interesting to see how they would have worked out the storyline and stuff like that. But then they just sort of reverse tracks on that. So, by the way, it wasn't Crawlers he was in. It was a movie called Ticks. I just looked it up on his IMDb.
So, speaking of other like franchises where they keep rebooting things, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, like what is it on like a 4/5 reboot there?
Yeah, they keep rebooting it or whatever. So I saw the remake when it came out in theaters, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had never seen the actual original movie, but I had seen the sequels, but never seen the first one. Again, the remake came out, and then they also put out an anniversary edition DVD at that time of the first movie. So I bought them both, same day. Watched the original one, just totally let down. I think it had just been hyped up for all these years. I've heard like, oh my god, this is the movie you gotta see. This is so gruesome. It was banned from cable, and I'm just like, this movie is not bloody at all. The ending, it didn't really make sense. The acting is terrible. That guy in the wheelchair can't act for shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is awful. The remake is so much better.
It's one of those movies, and this is a thing for movies and games and everything like that. Like some of the things when they're so innovative at the time, but then by many years later, it's been done so many times that it's just part of the norm. When you go back to watch it, like what's so special about this?
Yeah, if I had seen it when it came out in the 70s or whatever, I might have felt a little differently. But like watching it in the year 2003 or whatever, I'm like, this ain't nothing.
Yeah. See, I remember watching, two of the guys I knew in high school, they were huge into that series. So I wound up watching all of them, pretty much at the time. And I remember, you get to the first one is like, it's just standard trying to be a horror movie or whatever. The second one, they throw some comedy elements in it. And I believe it was so they keep the rating, kind of thing. Like the poster of the movie is a parody of the Breakfast Club poster.
Yeah,
kind of thing. But then
I love the second movie, but that's the one where they're making chili out of the people, right?
Yeah. The third one is where they go a little bit weird. They go back and like they're in a swamp or whatever, and like the story gets a little confusing. It's like, okay, well, Leatherface is there, but this is a new family. Who's this? And
in the third one, like a guy dies and then comes back in like a scene a little bit later.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
because I was watching that on like Joe Bob Briggs Drive-In Theater or whatever, and he points that out.
Yeah. Then there's I think it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, and that one is like like
They shelved that movie too. They didn't release it at first. They didn't release it till later after Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger were stars.
Yeah, and it's like like there's a part, it's subtle in the first movie, but like there's like a grandma persona of Leatherface, like does the cooking and stuff like that. So he has like there's actually 3 different personas. I forget what the other 2 are called, but they're used for the different roles that he does in the movie. In that one, they sort of took that and they pushed it to extreme. They started having like putting him in drag and stuff like that, and so it was like, okay, this is like different on. The next thing I remember is seeing a movie coming out for it. I think this is when they first rebooted it, like in the early 2000s, late 90s or something like that. Like it seemed like they kept kind of rebooting it every so often.
Yeah, The Next Generation is awful.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why Matthew McConaughey has like a robot leg that he controls with remote controls. Like, that doesn't make sense. And it's like I have like just the regular, like I have the movie on DVD or whatever. So my buddy has the Blu-ray of it with the director's cut, where he's like, a lot of the stuff, it makes more sense if you see with all the deleted scenes and the other stuff put back in it. Mm-hmm. So I watched it that way. It makes just a tiny bit more sense. It's still the same awful movie. I'm like, why does he have this robot leg thing? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Well, and then apparently he said, well, because like some of the, I forget where he'd seen this, I don't know, but somewhere it's supposed to be. So that movie, The Next Generation, was going to be a reboot, and then it was going to be a sequel, and then they couldn't make up their mind of what it was going to be. Then it was going to be a prequel. So like, they're saying that like Matthew McConaughey basically will become Leatherface later, if you look at it as a prequel, and that's why his leg is all jacked up. And I'm just like, okay, I don't.
Kind of like Tommy Jarvis should be becoming Jason, but he never does. But there's all these in the end of one movie. It's like, oh, it's totally going there, and then it doesn't.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. Yeah. So then they do that reboot, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I thought that movie was pretty good. But the one that's the prequel to the reboot, that's my favorite of the series. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, that one is amazing. I love that. I can't wait to see the Rob Zombie's Monsters.
Oh, is he actually doing that?
Yes. Yeah, and he's been posting pictures and stuff on his Instagram of like some of the costumes and stuff.
What I can see for Rob Zombie, he likes things in their source material at times. I think too, like he likes that old school kind of horror stuff a lot. You see in a lot of his stuff, so I can see him staying closer to the stuff. Maybe a little darker and things like that. But he'll probably
I honestly think people are going to be shocked with this because I don't see him going too far off the rails. To be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I kind of see that it's going to probably. I'm very excited for it, but I honestly don't think it's going to be as crazy out there as some people think it'll be.
I mean, if you look at his version of Halloween, just the first movie, because the second movie there's a whole debacle about what went on with that. But you look at the first movie, he more or less stays true to the source. He just adds a big pre-story of like Michael as a child and stuff like that.
So with Halloween 2, like his version, he. And said in interviews before that like legit that was what Wes Craven wanted to do originally and wasn't allowed to back in the day.
Yeah,
and get kind of weird with that, and like allegedly Wes Craven gave Rob Zombie the hey, go ahead and do your thing. Yeah. And then he did it, and then when it failed, Wes Craven's like, I did not like that movie. I have nothing to do with that. Blah blah, and like completely turned on him.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, okay.
Sorry, is Halloween's got Wes Craven involved? I didn't realize that.
Oh no, John Carpenter.
John Carpenter. Okay. I was gonna say. I was like,
yeah, not Wes Craven. John Carpenter.
Okay.
But yeah, apparently he completely like turned on him. Was like, hey, yeah, let's do this. This is gonna be great. Do it. And then when he did it, and it bombed at the theaters, he's all like, his fault, not me, him.
Yeah, well, I thought I heard something too. There was something, if I recall correctly, it was something like Zombie had an idea of what he's going to do in the movie, and he got told no, and then they brought somebody else on, then it was going to work, so they went back to Zombie, and he's like, okay, only if we do whatever kind of thing. And
yeah, so I thought it's decent. I enjoyed it. It did get a little weird towards the end, but
yeah,
I like it.
That's also a series with a very now confusing timelines to it, because there's like 3 or 4 different variants of the timeline on there now, because the the latest one with Jamie Lee Curtis came back, and the sequel they're doing to that is like going to be its own trilogy with the first movie only. And
Yeah,
then
they're
like,
bypassing like 2, and then 3 has nothing to do with them, and then 4, 5. Well, and even then, okay, so I own 4 and 5. I have never actually sat down and watched them. I've seen bits and pieces here and there.
yeah.
But isn't the girl there supposed to be like her Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter?
I think it's supposed to be some relation to Michael or something like that. Halloween is actually a series that I only recently watched because, especially when I was younger, for me, for most of the horror movies, it had to be like a Nightmare on Elm Street or a Friday the 13th or something with, like The Fly or whatever, like something with the creature in it kind of thing. And like Michael Myers to me was just a guy in a mask, so it was never really interested in me.
A William Shatner mask.
Yeah. And so I've only seen all of the first movie now, and I've seen most of the second movie. I kind of tuned in partway through it, but then other than that, I've seen like that one that came out with James, a few years ago, and then my first Halloween movie actually was the Rob Zombie one, so that was the first thing I saw. So.
Yeah, and I like that because in his version in that movie, you can actually like kind of relate to Michael.
Yeah,
like the original one, it's like, oh, just Michael's just some crazy killer. In the remake, I'm like, he gets treated like shit. I can kind of see why he maybe did these things. He kind of, and to me that's scary. The fact that I can relate to him, I can relate to the killer as opposed to relating to the victim.
Here's one thing I can think of what Rob Zombie would do with the monsters. He's probably going to put Sherry in it.
Oh yeah,
and he's probably going to put his other buddy that is in every movie in it too, kind of thing. And maybe the guy plays Captain Spaulding if he's still around. So
no, he passed away.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yep, Sid Haig. He passed. Yeah, because 3 from Hell was his last movie, and that's why he only had like a shortened. Like they basically put him in prison and then killed him in the movie because Sid legit was like sick and couldn't make it to set, and film for long times.
There was a guy at one job I worked at when I first started shaving my head, but had the beard, but not long, just like kept trimmed, and he used to call me Captain Spaulding because I was Captain Spaulding. That movie has that look so.
Yeah, well, shit the bed. Yeah. Then so yeah, then they basically, and then H2O, Halloween H2O came along, and I watched that, and I was confused because I was like, I remember there was a girl in Halloween 4 and 5, and I thought she was supposed to be Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter. Then H2O rolls around, and they're like, she's got a son. Okay, and then now with the new Halloween reboot, they're like, we're ignoring all that, and I'm pretty sure she has a daughter again. And I'm just like, what the fudge?
And you know what? I can forgive them doing that, ignore that kind of stuff and whatnot, because it's John Carpenter coming back, and he's like, I only the ones I directed count, for my thing or whatever, right? But you called it Halloween again, like you just called it Halloween. Yeah. Like could you have called it Halloween, Return to Myers, or or Halloween, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like now it's good. It's like, okay, are you talking about Halloween? Are you talking about Halloween, 2018, or are you talking about Halloween 1978 or whatever?
I think the new one is going to be called Halloween Kills.
Yeah, but the one he did like in what was it, 2018?
Yeah,
or whatever?
It's called like Halloween 2018 is what most people refer to it as.
Yeah.
Good night, Inashi. Thanks for swinging by.
That's always hard with franchises when they start like reusing their name again, just on its own with no distinction.
Like this one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like the new one is just called Child's Play again?
Yeah. That's an interesting...
I liked the remake.
That is
it's not as good as the old ones, but it's good.
Yeah. That's a series I really love watching, the way it progressed over the years kind of thing. Because, you get the first 3 movies are, they're trying to be just horror movies. Like they get a little more comedic in the second and third, but not too much. Then the fourth one, they're like, okay, let's get a little kookier and stuff like that. And then by Seed, they're like, okay, it's wacky, it's crazy.
They just go all out.
Yeah,
and I love it. I think it's I don't remember if it's Bride of Chucky or if it's Seed of Chucky. Whatever one where like they kidnap the 2 kids in the RV. And
that'd be Bride.
Okay, and I love it where they're just sitting there. The guy's like, so. Tell me about yourself. And he's like, let's just say that if my life was a movie, it would be the kind it would take 3 or 4 sequels to do it justice. And I was like, that's a great line there.
But I love how they eventually went back to the horror, and they're like, oh, here's a reboot. oh, but gotcha, kind of thing, right? So
Yeah, and then well, if they still have these plans, there's I guess going to be a sequel to the remake movie.
Okay.
Where it was kind of like the new Android app Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a TV series coming, which the trailer was just released the other day, and I haven't watched it yet. And I think that's coming to Sci-Fi Channel, maybe a streaming service. I think, but the series is literally the continuation of these movies.
Yeah,
because the creator was like, they went and rebooted my movie series without me, and I'm not done yet. I still have plans. So
yeah, well, because the last movie that they had, the one that was on Netflix was it was still open ended at the end. So
is that Cult of Chucky?
Yeah,
that's the one I have not watched yet. I watched Curse of Chucky.
Yeah,
and then I remember all through, I'm like, when does this movie take place? Because Chucky's all beat up and scarred and stuff, and then at the end of that one is like starts peeling the plastic away and his scars and stuff are underneath. And I'm like, okay.
Well, they were trying to treat it like they were trying to sort of pretend like it was a reboot, and so again, everybody's like, oh, it's a new movie, and then at the end they're like, nope.
Just kidding.
Yep.
Not a new movie. We're continuing the same thing. And I was like, all right, I'm with you. I think it would be cool, like if they did brought in both Chuckies.
Yeah, have them fight each other or something.
Well, that, or then they just team up, like this. Chucky's like, you can do what? Oh, that's cool. Because he's not quite as technologically advanced, Like that's a. I have all these cool ideas that need to happen, but none of them will. They'll just get If I were making movies, all my movies would be like direct-to-DVD sequels because nobody would want to make them, so I'd have to make them on a shoestring budget.
Yeah, well, that's what happens with a lot of these ones, and case in point, the director of the Chucky movies is like, I'm not done. He's probably got to do it for a lot less money, and
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other things that I thoroughly enjoy is cheap B horror movies. Obviously, like Puppet Masters and stuff like that. There is one movie that I like to tell everybody to watch. So I'm gonna tell everybody out there watching right now to watch this movie. It's called Thanksgiving. And it is literally about a killer turkey. Okay, but this movie does not take itself seriously. It's almost like so it's almost like The Room, in that it's such a terrible train wreck you can't look away. The difference is the creators of this movie 100% knew what they were doing. They didn't think that they were making a fantastic movie that everybody was going to enjoy. They knew their bargain bin movie, and they did. And rolled with it. It's like there's the turkey puppet is literally like a hand puppet hunk of rubber that just looks cheap as hell. But there's a scene where the turkey skins somebody and then wears his face, but the turkey's only like 1.5 feet tall. And then the girl opens the door to the house, and the turkey had skinned her dad. And then she's like, "Oh, Dad, how's it been?" And she like bends down to give him a hug. Oh, it's a long time. Like she totally doesn't know that it's the turkey that's getting her dad. Fantastic, and I recommend it to absolutely everybody. In fact, if you haven't seen it, watch it with one of your movie nights, whatever.
Oh yeah, look at that and put that on there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of great one-liners too, just like Freddy.
Yeah. Now the one I was recommending to you, Audition, if you ever do watch it, looks like it's on Tubi, because I think Tubi is free, right? Like you just have to watch ads with it, kind of thing. But it's also on AMC Plus. I don't know if you have that. So
no, that's one that I don't have.
Yeah, Shudder is another place it is, but kind of thing. But yeah.
Now, is there a dubbed version of it?
No, and it's it's only available subtitled. So. And I think some of the stuff would it'd be a little bit lost in translation too, in dubbing kind of thing. So it's but it's one of those movies. Anybody I recommend it to, I say the same thing. You like, don't watch a trailer, don't go out and read about it or anything. Just go in, watch it, kind of thing. Just get a blind experience. That's kind of how I watched it. So Now the other one that I always recommend people to, if I can, it's less horror-y but has horror elements in it, is Society.
What is it?
Society.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to mention that.
Yeah,
That's actually on Shudder as well.
yeah.
So it took me forever to determine what that movie is, and I need to actually watch it from the beginning because I've never seen it fully from the beginning. But years ago, like when it came out, I just turned on my TV and go home from work one night. It's like 2 a.m, and that was on. I just turned it on. It was on Showtime, and I watched like the end of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Exactly.
That was not where I was expecting that to go from like the bits that I had started watching, And I was like, okay.
a few years ago, I was there was a Twitch streamer that I was mod for, and they did a movie night thing. That's where I originally got the idea from and stuff. They always did horror movies, and they took recommendations every so often. I recommended Society, so they put it on one night, and they were just like, "What the fuck?" Just like
yeah,
all these reactions and stuff like that.
And like again, I've seen most of the movie, so I mean, I get the gist of it. I've seen like the last 45 minutes, maybe last hour of it, and I just only missed the beginning part. So I'm sure that I've seen almost all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, what the hell was that? And then I forgot about it. And years later, I'm like, what was that movie that I saw? And I was like, I know it was the something. And I could never remember what the second word was.
Now, here's an interesting question for you. What's your favorite subgenre of horror?
As far as
like,
break down as a
like sci-fi, body horror, creature, paranormal,
So I guess honestly it would be like slasher.
Yeah.
Like I definitely prefer like Freddy, Jason, Chucky, that kind of thing. But I also do like supernatural movies like The Conjuring, anything with a ghost.
Yeah.
13 Ghosts, that's a good one.
Yeah, see, for me, like slasher is obviously like a big one for me too, but because all the titles you mentioned there are big. But the other one for me would be body horror, like like stuff like The Fly, Thing. It's even less so horror, but what's that James Woods movie, Videodrome?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that.
Yeah,
but yeah, we're back in the day.
Yeah, but like things where like your body's like betraying you or something like that. Like it's just like can be
well, there's some of that in Nightmare on Elm Street, like when Freddy turns the girl into a cockroach.
Yeah. Or the second one was all about like Freddy possessing the kid's body and stuff like that.
You got the body and I got the brain.
Yeah.
I'm also a massive fan of the Saw franchise.
Oh yeah.
I everybody's like, oh, the first one was the only good one. Yeah, the first one was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. First one is absolutely amazing, and the twist, I did not see that coming. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But I love every single other one because once you watch like a new sequel, it like completely changes something that happened in the previous movies, and you're just like, what? And it's one long, ginormous, twisted story, and I love it.
Yeah, but my only problem with it was when they killed off Jigsaw there, like in what was it, the third movie?
I was died in the third movie, and there's like 9 movies.
Yeah, it's like I thought it would have been like it seemed part of the plot was, of course, he was dying of, was it cancer? He had something terminal.
Yeah, he had
something, and but he survived like a gruesome car accident where he had like a big pole sticking out of him or something like that, and he's like fine. So then he goes on his mission, but then he's just dying off in that one movie, and it's like, oh, okay, kind of thing. I thought it would be better if they kept him around, for the later movies, a little more connected then. So
I saw Spiral when that hit theaters. That's really good.
Yeah.
The end clearly sets up that there will be more.
Yeah.
My only complaint, I guess, with Spiral is that the voice they used it didn't sound as cool or as sinister sounding as Tobin Bell's voice, but I think they did it intentionally to let you know that this is not necessarily Jigsaw. This is like a copycat, or just it's somebody new. But I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I can see that. But it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we have hit our hour and then some. We went a little bit over. So we will go ahead and we'll end the show this evening. But as a reminder, just let everybody know that tonight was the last BS hour for a little bit. we will be returning. This is not a permanent vacation, but do have to go on hiatus for a little while. My schedule's changed at work, and I gotta get settled in and then figure out where we can put this program that will work for both Julian and I. So we hope to see you all back whenever we return. Thank you, everybody, very much for watching. Papa Bear, thank you for filling in. I appreciate it. It's been a great night.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we will see you guys later. Bye.